Hello, my name is Neil Joseph, and I would like to wish you all a very happy New Year 2022. The year 2021 was a really great year for us at Home and Mortgage. I spent the entire year helping a lot of my clients successfully complete the real estate transactions that they were pursuing, be it purchases, refinances, or transfers. As part of that process, I often get asked a lot of questions which are primarily centered around mortgage eligibility. So I thought about it and I felt the need to come up with a certain tool for you to figure out your mortgage eligibility on your own. And so this is an attempt at that. Now, you might ask me, Neil, what is so unique about this calculator or tool? Aren't there a lot of calculators out there? All the banks have one on their websites. Other sites such as ratehub.ca also have such calculators. So, what is different? So, let me elaborate a bit on that. Now, I don't know exactly what your experience has been with such calculators, but when I look at some of the most prominent ones, what I see is these calculators are primarily used to gather email addresses or contact details of the borrowers, so that the website or the bank can have their call center or maybe the mortgage specialist chase those people down. Essentially, these calculators serve as lead magnets while offering little in return to the clients. Now, the calculator that I have developed will also ask for an email address, but it is being used only for the purpose of saving the assessment result for future use by yourself. I am not going to ask your email address or use that email address for any marketing purposes unless you provide an explicit consent to me. Secondly, the calculators out there ask for little information and in turn also provide little information back to you. There are a number of options which might be available to you in respect to your eligibility, but they tend to hold it back. But not with this calculator that you will find on my website. Lastly, these calculators or their output cannot be reused, meaning the next time you want to try maybe a slight variation of some of the influencing parameters involved in figuring out the eligibility, you will have to key in all the figures again. Hope this answer addresses what is unique about this calculator. And before I jump into a demo and show you how the calculator works, I would like to highlight a very important aspect that you should always keep in mind, and that is, while this calculator is powerful enough, it does not replace the need for you to consult with a mortgage professional. Use of the calculator should be limited to gaining a basic understanding of your eligibility, a potential eligibility, and to understand how your eligibility could vary depending on most common factors. All mortgages are subject to lender approval, and the eligibility reflected by this calculator is not to be assumed as a guarantee for your approval. So, with that in mind, let's switch over to the demo. The screen that you're seeing in front of you is the desktop view of the calculator or the form. If you are accessing the link over a tablet or a mobile phone, then the UI will adjust to present the form accordingly. Okay, so first off, the form is going to ask for your email address. It's basically going to be used to send you an email with a link to the form, so that you can use it for future reference and also to edit the details, if any, if you want to make any changes. Okay, so I have specified my email address. The next question is going to ask is, do you already have a property? I'm indicating it as a no. Right now, the form doesn't support a situation where you have multiple properties. So basically, no rental properties are supported right now. It's obviously an upgrade that I'm going to have in future, but not with this release. Okay. Proceeding further to the next page, it's going to ask for details about the property that you have in mind. You could be investigating the properties over websites like realtor.ca or housesigma.com. So you can use those as reference and input the details over here in this form. to figure out the eligibility particular to that property. Okay, so in this case, you have an option to specify the address of the property or the MLS number for future reference. For the purpose of the demo, I'm just indicating it as a demo, and then you can get into the details of the property itself. It's going to ask for the purchase price. In this case, I've specified 500,000. It's going to ask for property taxes, so annually 2,000. Is it going to be a freehold property or a condo property? I'm specified as freehold, so basically no condo fees. Indicated this to be a principal residence, so I'm going to occupy it after closing. And this is what I will have towards the down payments, maximum amount that you can contribute to the down payment. So 100,000. Obviously, you can change these numbers and see to fit to your criteria. Okay. Now, at this point, you have an option to save or click further and go to the next set of details that you need to specify. Okay. Now it's going to ask about any existing debts that you are carrying. Things like credit card, lines of credit, home loan, car loans, student loans, any other debts, and also an indication of what your credit scores are like. Okay, so let's start with credit card loan. It's going to ask if you have any outstanding balance on a credit card or line of credit. I'm indicating it as no for now. Car loans, I've said that yes, there is a car loan. We're making bi-weekly payments for it, and each time we pay $150. Do I have student loans? No, but you can choose yes if you have. Other debts, I don't have any other debts, and so I've indicated no. Lastly, it's going to ask about credit scores. So is it above 680, yes or no? Indicate it as yes. So clicking further. Now this is where it's going to ask for the employment details or your income details. And it supports two applicants at this point. For the purpose of the demo, I've specified as one applicant who is securing the mortgage. And getting into the details further here, it's going to ask for the type of employment. So basically, is it going to be, are you getting a salary? Do you have guaranteed hours? Is it a variable income or an hourly pay that you get? Or are you self-employed? So based on the option you choose, the fields are going to vary a bit. And in this case, I've chosen salaried. And in case you have been with the same employer for more than 2 years, you can specify your full tax year incomes with the same employer. So in this case, 2020 and 2021. Or you can just simply specify your base gross salary without any bonus and click further. Can also specify any other income that you might be getting. It could be like something like a child tax benefit. It could be interest income or dividend income, which I've been getting consistently for the last 2 years. So I'm indicating $2,000 annually that I'm getting as other income. Clicking next. Okay, so at this point, it has got sufficient details enough to give you some sort of indication in terms of what your mortgage eligibility would look like for the property that you had specified details for. Okay, so we'll click check out your mortgage eligibility, and this is basically the preliminary assessment. Okay, so based on the details provided, you are likely to qualify to borrow $400,000 required to complete the purchase of the desired property for the specified $500,000, with the rest being funded by a down payment of $100,000. So basically, this is what you were inquiring about, and based on the details you shared, looks like you can complete that transaction, or you would be able to complete the transactions. Of course, I'm requesting that you reach out to me to make sure that this is indeed the case, because obviously documents need to be verified, the aspects need to be checked to make sure that this is indeed true. Okay, so here this is happy scenario where whatever you were planning to execute looks feasible. Now let's go back and maybe edit some of the inputs that you're given and see as to how the assessment changes if there is a change in parameters. So let's say we have reduced the annual incomes from say 80,000 to 50,000 and keep all the other details as is. Okay, so let's now review as to what the change in income would mean with respect to mortgage eligibility. Okay, so here you can see that the preliminary assessment has now changed. Basically, it says that based on the details provided, further assessment is required to determine your eligibility for the desired purchase. Essentially, the income and details as well as the debt details that you have provided for the purchase that you are intending to sort of carry out based on the property details you specified. It's seems like you don't meet the criteria to be eligible for that mortgage requirement. And so that is where it's suggesting that you reach out to myself as a mortgage specialist or mortgage agent and get this reviewed further. But it doesn't just leave you there. It provides some more details that you can understand or figure out below. So these are the additional considerations. So keeping your income and varying levels of down payment, it just shows as to how the mortgage eligibility increases as the down payment available also increases. So basically, as your down payment increases, say from 55,167 on to 59,915, your mortgage eligibility basically jumps from say 220,000 to 239,000, right? And so this is basically your limit as far as prime lenders are considered. So essentially, from based on the income and the debt details, your mortgage eligibility may not be higher than 239,654, given a down payment of 59,914 or more. Now, as you increase down payment beyond this, obviously the purchase price that you can target would increase, but your mortgage eligibility would hit a ceiling at this with all prime lenders. Obviously, you can get a higher mortgage, but that might entail going to an alternate lender, which might come at a higher cost. The only consideration that you or the consideration that you would need to have is, of course, that you would need to have 20% of the purchase price, whatever that might be, or higher, plus maybe lender fees to cover processing a mortgage with an alternate lender. So as you can see, based on the scenario which is encountered, the calculator provides some more details in terms of what options could be available to you. So it's pretty dynamic in that sense. So hopefully you would be playing around with this calculator and maybe you can get some more insights and you don't have to depend so heavily on a mortgage agent or a specialist to figure out how your eligibility changes based on slight changes in your income details or maybe debt details or the property details in terms itself, maybe the purchase price, the mortgage requirement, the down payment available, the property taxes, condo fees, etc. So all those variations, this calculator will be able to take into account and address for you. Okay, so at the end of it, obviously you can email the link out to you so that you have it for future reference. So hopefully you like this and you would use this calculator and find it useful. Thank you very much for your time.